Hi, this is Jim Schuett. We're going to discuss the scheduling module in Sage 100 Contractor. I have a PDF instruction sheet on this, but it's also good sometimes to go along and show each step. It just seems to make it better for understanding it more quickly. And this will be brief, but hopefully it will be helpful to anyone who is thinking or actually using the scheduling module. The scheduling module is number 10 in the Sage menu. It has schedule reports, tasks, and schedules in there. So we'll go ahead and open this up. Let's take a look here. We're going to go to the 10.2 task list right here and open that up, and here is where you would create your task list. Now the task lists need to be in chronological order, meaning that this happens first, then this, then this, then this, and so forth, all the way down. And also in assigning the numbering, you should be sure to leave lots of space between the numbers, so that if you need to add one or several tasks in between two existing ones, you have the space and ability to do so. One of the ways you can add these is to right click, is to hit F8 and that will open up the list of tasks, and you can click on those, and you can see that right here. Once you have your task list, you would want to open up the schedule, and we're going to do a new one here. So 224 in the sample company, and let's go here. Okay, and so what we need to do is to now we've opened this up, we've added the job, and if there's a phase you would want to open that up, and you would enter the task lists, or there's a couple options. One, you can open up you can import the grid file, which is your task list grid file, which has all of the tasks that you've created for this particular job. The other option is to go to the takeoff, and well, actually you don't have to go to the takeoff, you can just create the task list from the takeoff. The takeoff has a task field for each line in the takeoff, your estimate. And so if you utilize that, then you can pull in the tasks that are specific to this takeoff, maybe not the whole task list, but just specific to this takeoff. So whichever works best for you, So we'll go ahead and pull in the takeoff tasks, and we are going to say yes. And what this has done is created a list that matches the takeoff. And there, okay. Next, we are going to do a little housekeeping here. If you type F2 or hit F2 like this, it brings up a calendar, and you have the option to right click on any of the dates, like this one here. We'll do on the 20th, and you can see we've right clicked once, and it turns that date off as one of the operational dates for the task. Another right click and it'll put it back on. This is not for the Saturdays and Sundays, just for the work days, the weekdays. And so that's one thing that you should do to start, because it'll affect the dates and the stretching out of the job based on available working days. So that's that. And the other part here is down here, here's where you do the Saturdays and Sundays. Yeah, so if Saturdays and Sundays are not off, here's your days across the top, and it uses every day if these are not checked. So if I check these, it skips those Saturday, Sunday days for work scheduling. Okay, let's go to predecessors. Now let's take a look at just the grid here. Now the grid is this, which has the dates or will and all the fields that need to have some input sometimes. And the grid Gantt is a combination of that grid and the Gantt chart itself. So right now we're going to go back to the grid and take a look at predecessors. Actually, we're going to take a look here. I'll click in the second one, and I'm going to go down and click on the predecessor button. And now for 2000, which is task number 2000, which shows up here, this is the field, and its predecessor is shown here. One other thing before we get this that I should have mentioned. You'll need to go up to options, and at the very beginning click default start finish. What that does is and I'll open this up with the Gantt chart. What that does is it automatically sets everything to start after the last one is finished. So this one doesn't start until this one is finished. If each one has a duration of 1 day, that's why the squares are the blue squares are square instead of rectangular. It's just 1 day. If you didn't do default start finish at the beginning, you would have to manually go in and do each one of these start finish. Now, all of them aren't going to be start finish, or probably not, but what happens is if you have to make something not exactly start finish in the relationship, then you can just change the ones that are different, and you don't have to go through and just create something for each one that can so easily be done just by doing options and default start finish. Okay, so now let's go back to predecessors, and the predecessor for the one you're in, the task number that you're in, this is the task number you're in. So this is predecessors semicolon, so we're talking about this number. The predecessor for that is the task that goes before that, the one that precedes the one that we're in. And so you can see here that the predecessor for 2000 shows up as being number 500 because it's the one directly before. So the predecessor of 2000 is 500. The predecessor of 9500 is 9200. 9500, the one before it, is 9200. So it's a start finish In other words, you start the new one after the prior one has finished. And we'll get into what other options there are with that. And so we have the next column here, start finish. That's what this is. Now, let's say this is, let me go down, oh, we are down there, so that's good. So if I click here, and I want to do something different, let's go to the next slide here. And so start finish, start start, finish start, and finish finish. What that means is the task you're in now starts after the one before it is finished. That's number one. If you put a number 2 in here, you'll go to start start. What that says is, and here's the description, the one you're in starts at the same time as the one prior. And finish start shows that the one you're in now starts and finishes before the one above it begins. And finish finish means that they both finish at the same time. And so if this was going to be changed, I could put a 2 in there, and that changes it to start start, or a 3 finish start, or a 4 finish finish. But I'll go back to 1 because that's what it was set at. Now, so then let's take a look at lead lag time. What does that mean? Lead lag. Let's say, and here's an example right here, predecessors. Okay, so lead lag, let's just click in there. And whenever you're in a field, by the way, any field, if you look down at the bottom left, it should tell you what that field is asking for, or some of the choices that you can put in that field. So down here it says enter the lead time negative or the lag time positive. In other words, if you need lead time, let's look over here. If you need lead time, it provides an overlap between tasks. And it's a negative number, so the negative means you are going to put it, how do I explain this? You're going to get it started before it actually begins, because you need to have some lead time for that particular task. Now, if it's a lag time, by the way, lead time is a negative number because you're going backwards. A lag time means that you can delay the start of a task based on the completion of the prior task, and that'll be a positive number. And so if I've got a -1 here, that means I need a lead time of 1 day -1 before the predecessor finishes. If I put a 1, that means I can lag. I have the grace of 1 extra day after the prior one, this one, finishes. And so that's what lead lag is. It is more fully described here, and let's go on to the next one. Now, float. This picture kind of shows it right here. There's the chart, and it shows float. We're talking float, and so when it comes to float, you can go back to the fully grid, not the one with a Gantt chart, but the fully gridded one, and slide the bar. Well, you've got the different tasks, so if you want float on a certain one, it's easy enough to highlight that row and then slide the bar over if you have to, and go to the float column and just click in there, and that's where you would put the do that. And for instance, the picture here off to the side is showing quite a few days for float. Matter of fact, it's a couple months, it looks like. Oh no, those are weeks. So a couple weeks. So whatever the number of days is, that's the line that'll be drawn on the Gantt chart as the sample shows. And that tells you that you, if necessary, you have that extra float time or leader lag, float time, not leader lag, float time, so that it would provide you that visible notification. All right, and then we'll go to the fixed date, not before, not after dates. And those are here. And what they mean is if you have a date that a particular task, let's do this here. And I'm just double clicking these so they tighten up. Okay, so if you have a date that this task cannot be done before, then you would put that date in here, and it would affect anything during this flow of dates. If this one during the normal flow starts sooner than the date here, this is the date that'll be put in here, and then the rest will flow from there. And not after is similar. You know, if you have something that this has to be done by a certain date, you can put that date in here, and it'll affect the flow of the entire chart from that time forward. And so that's what not before and not after is. If you have a fixed date, like the start date, that's a fixed start date. But if you have a fixed date for an item, like the inspector's coming, and he set a date that he's coming, okay, you can put that date in here as a fixed date for the inspector's task on the list here. So that's what those are. A late start and late finish is described also, just another variation. And so let's go on down now to the next thing. This is just a sample schedule, so I'm going to bring this over a bit, and we can take a bigger look. Okay, let's see here. Okay, it's going a little crazy. Okay, so here's a sample, and there's some additional features on my PDF that is explanatory, but I think the video is long enough, and mostly it's just to help you visually see what the PDF, the instructional sheet, is talking about, and how and where in the actual program to find and do these things. So thanks very much, and hope this helped. Take care.